front of the vehicle. I, at that time, got out of my vehicle, walked over to the senior man there, which was a gunnery sergeant. And I told him, come with me. We walked away from the prisoner and the other staff NCO, and I mentioned to him, if I should ever see something like this happen again, you'll be wearing the same shirts or lack of shirts as that young man. Now go back and you handle that situation properly. But I'm going to tell you, there are times when you step up and depend on someone. You are susceptible to being chastised. Well, the story goes on. The following day, while talking to one of my privates, the door to my office opened and slammed behind him a master gunnery sergeant who was senior and ranked, that is. And he walked there in front of myself and Master Sergeant Jones and a young Lance Corporal who wanted to speak to me about getting married. And he stood there with his back to them, facing me, and he says, let me tell you something, First Sergeant, you do not run this company. I asked the young Lance Corporal to leave. Master Sergeant Jones was getting ready to leave. I said, no, you remain here. And I turned to him and says, Master Gunny, I respect your rank. You're senior to me in rank, but there's something you don't understand. I am the senior in this battalion. And what I know, the reason is that you came here was because of your MPs. They were wrong in what they were doing, and I corrected them. He didn't give me a chance to say anything else. He says, let me tell you once again, and at that time I had to let him know that the next time he raised his hand above his waist towards my face, I was going to lay him down abruptly.
Amen.
And he said to me, you know, I can write you up. I said, well, if you have a pen and you know how to do so, continue. Well, I'll go see the Sergeant Major about this. Half an hour later, I get a call to the Sergeant Major's office. The Sergeant Major asked me about this situation, and he asked me, he says, First Sergeant, did you threaten to lay him down abruptly, as he said he said? I said, Sergeant Major, I disagree with what he said. I did not threaten him. I promised him. The Sergeant Major says, well, after me explaining everything about the situation, and he says, did you actually put your hands in the First Sergeant's face? He said, well, I was mad, Sergeant Major. He says, well, I'll tell you, I'm glad it was you instead of me. He said, because we probably would have been rolling on the deck. Well, so afterwards, and he said, and I told him, he said, I did not run that battalion. Sergeant Major explained to him that you are ranked the first sergeant. Actually, however, you are a section leader. And there's many sections within these 1,400 people in this battalion, in which the sergeant major is responsible for, to the colonel. So I suggest, Master Gunny, you go back and you study your rank structure. To cut it all short, when it came time for fitness reports, right up, my young captain called me in and she says, here's your fitness report. I looked at it, all outstanding and everything. However, down at the bottom, it was, I would accept the first sergeant to be promoted when he learns to get along with other staff NCOs. That was influenced. Her decision was influenced by that Master Gunnery Sergeant and the Colonel, which they PT together every day. Well, I accepted it, and I came up with a solution to the problem. What I did was call Headquarters Marine Corps to the monitor. And I explained to him what was about to come up, especially since it was the time when promotions was coming up. And I was very eligible. Explaining it all to the Sergeant Major up there at Headquarters Marine Corps. And he couldn't believe it. He says, I'm looking at your jacket and everything is outstanding. All that you've done, all that Marine Corps requested of you, you've done. And now to have a fitness report like this, believe me, we can't do anything about it. So it's going to reflect, and it goes before the board, and don't expect to get promoted. I said, well, I have one request. I would like to get transferred. So they granted me that. Where do you want to go? I said, I get a choice. He says, you've done everything that you should have done. That was required of you. So wherever you want to go is granted. I left. But it's very important that you stand up for what is right. Excuse me, Paul. It's very important that you stand up for what is right. You got people out there that will not do so. The important thing is how you deal with people. Be honest. Be firm. Don't cut around the corners. Your word is your bond. That's the way I feel.